Welcome to Sausage on a Fork, a podcast dedicated to the UK's longest running children's drama programme, Grange Hill. My name's Neil, and in each episode I'll interview a former cast member about their life before, during and after their time on the programme. Okay, welcome to the next episode of Sausage on a Fork, and I am absolutely delighted to say that I've been joined by none other than Lisa East, who played Christine Everson. Lisa, welcome to Sausage on a Fork.
Thank you.
Okay, what we'll do, Lisa, is we'll start the way we start every episode. And if you can just tell us how you got into acting.
Mine was, I started off dancing at a very young age, just at a normal local little dancing school. Done a few local pantomimes like you do every year. Managed to get an audition for a musical that was in the West End called Bernardo's.
All right.
And so I went up, managed to get the part, done that. Unfortunately, it didn't last very long. It was the critics didn't like it, killed it big time. So that was the end of that. And an agent actually saw me in that and asked if I would go on her books. She was London based. So basically that was it. That was the start of a little career for me.
So obviously you've just said there that she was London based. Now it's quite obvious from your accent that you're not London based yourself. So where were you based at the time?
Home is Swindon in Wiltshire, which you probably guessed, a bit of a country bumpkin. Well, very close to Bristol, Bath, Oxford, all those sort of lovely areas.
Yeah.
That's me, just a local Swindon girl.
So with your agent being London based then, did you have to do any sort of relocating, or did you stay Swindon where you were for the time?
I stayed at home until I got a few parts, and then I obviously would go to London. My auntie actually lives in London, did live in London, so that was a good base for me to go and stay. So that was home for quite a while actually.
Okay, so what would you say was your sort of your first big acting part then?
I actually done a film called The 4D Kids.
Right.
Which was a Children's Film Foundation film.
Oh, yeah.
Which was brilliant. It was filmed all around the Isle of Dogs. It was, we were, I forgot what you call them, but we were little detective type things with, and we tried to solve crimes. We found some jewels. Dexter Fletcher was in it.
Yeah.
He was a little bit of a rogue, bless him. I must admit, he was one of my first little crushes. But don't tell him that, will you? So it was great. It was all around the docks. We ended up swimming in the docks and getting airlifted from little speedboats and all sorts of things. It was absolutely brilliant.
I remember 4D Special Agents, wasn't it? I remember that because there was like a tie-in with schools, wasn't there? It was all about stranger danger and things like that. And I genuinely, I'm not just saying this because you're on the interview. I vividly remember all that, and it was one of our school. We used to watch Children's Film Foundation films. So we got shown that a couple of times, when it came to the stranger danger and stuff. And also, Paul Medford was in that, wasn't he? He was in
that as well. Yeah, Mr. EastEnders.
Yeah, brilliant, brilliant. So then,
they all went on and had a really good career, didn't they?
You didn't do too bad there.
Oh, bless.
I've also noticed that you were in something called Starting Out as well.
Yeah, that was for schools as well. That was a schools-based programme. That was for Central Television. I was a little bit older then, not a lot older, but a little bit older.
Yeah.
And again, that was Birmingham, Coventry area. And that was just a family. The mother with her 3 children had met another man, got together as a couple, had another child, and it was just the life of how this family coped.
Right.
Every day he was working, she was working, the kids were left to their own device, and just the kids growing up at different ages and everything.
When I looked at the cast list for that, Carol Shell was in that.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know how old you were at the time when you were in Starting Out, but obviously you must have known Carol Shell from play school.
Absolutely, yeah.
What was it like getting to work with it? Were you starstruck at all?
It was really strange because she was actually playing my mother, so it was like a real mother figure.
Yeah.
And she was just your mum. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. She really was. And she talked, because obviously play school and everything, she talked, really caring and really, come on. And so like being 14, 15 or whatever it was a real like, oh yeah, I need this. She's looking after me. She's my mum. So brilliant. Yeah, brilliant. Lovely lady, absolutely lovely lady.
And Kevin Lloyd as well.
Kevin Lloyd, an absolute darling, bless him.
Yeah, brilliant.
Rest in peace, bless him. But yeah, he was a good man, little character.
Yeah, played Tosh, didn't he, in the Bill?
Kevin Lloyd. Yeah.
Okay then. So how did Grange Hill come about? For you, were you based in London at this point?
No. Always been based at home. Just always travelled up to London as and when. No special acting here, I'm afraid. It's just me. Go to dancing, come home, do your little bit of acting, and then that was it. There was no. Yeah. I didn't go to any drama lessons or anything.
Right. So then, how did it come around then for you?
Again, somebody had seen me in Bernardo's and all, and then went for an audition. And after, I can't actually remember all my auditions, to be honest. I don't quite know why I can't remember them, but I can't remember them. I can just remember sitting in a television studio one day and watching all these different people walking by and thinking, oh my God, it's all different people. And I just, oh my God, how on earth am I sat here watching all this going on? And then having to go and do a bit of Grange Hill myself, sort of thing. It was amazing, but I cannot for the life of me remember my auditions.
Right.
So I don't know if that's good or bad.
Yeah. So were you a fan of the programme then? Oh
yeah, definitely. Yeah. Right. Religiously, got home in time to watch it.
Yeah.
And when I had the opportunity, I was only going to do one episode. I was in series 5 for one episode. And that obviously went well. And then I ended up doing 2 other series. So it was like, oh my gosh, I'm in it and I'm in it. It's not just a sort of little.
So what was it like going then? And obviously, you'd seen all these people on telly, and you're saying you were a fan. What was it like to go from being a fan to then working alongside them?
Well, my very first scene that I done, the very first episode type thing, that was on location. And it was with Suzanne and Gripper and a group of us in a cafe with the video machine things, And oh my God, it was the worst experience ever. Just for the pure fact I had to walk in, say hi, be a bit of a tough girl, and not have a clue who they are, what they were going to be like. They were brilliant, don't get me wrong, they were absolutely brilliant, but it was like the new girls about sort of thing. And it was frightening.
I can imagine.
But then obviously when I went back, again, my first it was still location, but it was in the school grounds. The first actual scene I done then was with Pogo. No, it wasn't, I'm lying. It was with Roland. I went and took money off him. So again, it was like gradually getting into the swing with everybody. If that makes sense. It wasn't right, we're in the classroom, let's go. It was like
because that was the thing with Christine, because obviously she came in as a character who was already at the school. It wasn't like as a new kid, it was like she was already known. And it's fair to say that she wasn't particularly nice to start with, was she? She was horrible.
She was supposed to be quite nasty, I think. I don't know what I'd done to her, but
Yeah, because I just said there, she was meant to be quite nasty. The first thing you see her doing, obviously after being in the arcade, as you've said there, was going after Roland and getting his money and saying, we're collecting for Gripper. And then which led to Suzanne getting a fat lip and Gripper pushing her face into the arcade machine. But even in that episode, like Claire says to Suzanne, what are you doing hanging around with that Christine? So obviously she was meant to be a bit of a hard case, I imagine, and not very nice. So you said it was supposed to be one episode. How did it come about that you were going to do more?
Do you know, again, I don't really know. They obviously it's my agent and everything, and maybe they just said, oh yeah, the character wasn't that character as such, but maybe they just liked an outside them.
I mean, obviously when Series 6 came around, which was on telly in 1983. Just to, I don't know if that makes you feel. No, that was the
year I left school.
Right, okay. And then Christine was then in, she was part of that group of friends, which at the time was like, it was a huge thing, wasn't it? Suzanne, Stu Port, Claire. There was a lot of them, and they featured in a lot. And at that time, there was the biggest story was the racism story. Were you on set when Precious stood up to grip her? Were you around for that?
I wasn't actually in that scene, which is quite,
Right. I mean, because that is like one of the most famous, scenes from Grange Hill. And I was just wondering if you had been around for that. Like,
I wish.
So, because you said on the program you joined in and you were in with that group of friends. Who were you friends with on the show? So who were like your best friends, or who were you closest to?
Well, the same thing again, because my auntie lived in Greenford, so it was on the outskirts of London. So again, everybody sort of knew everybody in their own little way.
Right.
And at the end of the day, I would go that way and they would all go that way.
Right.
So there wasn't a lot of out activities, if you want to say. It was like, at the end of the day, I went home sort of thing.
Right.
But I mean, they were all brill on set. I got on well with all of them, Mark Baxter, Mark Burgess. They are such clowns, and Pogo. They're really lovely. I know I've just mentioned all the boys there, but they were all really genuinely lovely people.
Yeah.
And you could go off with either one or two of them and be quite happy and jibber jabber and then come back sort of thing. So yeah, there wasn't a lot of outside activity for me, to be honest.
Right. Okay.
Which was a shame.
I mean, that was purely down to location, wasn't it? Down to geography, yeah.
Oh god, yeah. If I lived the other way, I would have been with them all the time. I would have been making the most of it. But no, sorry.
Yeah, right. Okay. Was there anyone that you particularly enjoyed working with when you were on set? Was if you knew you had scenes coming up with people or anything, was there anything that you really looked forward to?
Yeah, Paula, she was brilliant.
Right.
She was really good. And Joanne Boakes.
Right. Yeah.
She was a little character, but yeah, she was great fun as well. All of them, Precious, Gilly's type thing. And yeah, there wasn't really one. Whatever scenes you were in, or if you were sat having your lunch or whatever, you were just homing on your own little group that you've been working with at that moment type thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's it really.
Yeah, right. Okay, yeah. We said that she was a bit of a bully to start with. She wasn't very nice. Now, obviously, at that time, Suzanne Ross was a big character in Grange Hill. And she always seemed to have a bit of a chip on her shoulder, Suzanne, about everything in life.
Oh, yes.
But there was one where she was going on about the school weren't able to have a school magazine. And that was where Christine's old side came out and said, well, why don't you just start your own one up? And I love the fact that that bit was put in. I love the fact that they put that in as if to say, she has still got that feisty side to her. But also, there was quite a poignancy, and I think, with Christine, when they're talking about what they're going to do when they leave school and the sort of their opportunities, because it was the early 80s. Unemployment was rife.
Oh, yeah.
Wherever you lived. In the country, and there's a scene where I think she's talking about her cousin applying for a job, and I just thought we always talk about how amazing Grange Hill was for dealing with things like that, but again, for a kids' TV program, to be.
It was right there on par, wasn't it?
Yeah, definitely for a kids' TV program to be saying, this is what your life's going to be like, basically. That wouldn't happen, would it? It wouldn't happen these days.
Oh God, no.
Yeah,
but back then that was the way it was, wasn't it?
Yeah.
If you didn't do that, you had to do that, and if that, and it was the way it worked.
Yeah, definitely. I just love the fact that it did deal with it. I think that scene was what you were with. I think it was Brian Capron, Mr. Hopwood. I think
that's right. Yeah.
What was the relationship like between the kids and the adults?
It was fine. I can't remember particularly socializing with them while we were working as such, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
When we were on set, they were brilliant, great company, treated you, the way you would like to be treated. And everybody was different, obviously, as every child was different. So your relationships would be different to whoever you were, to who you were talking to. But me being, I'm quite a reserved person, so I would just stand there and wait for somebody to talk to me, rather than sort of be the bolchy, right? Yeah. But as soon as I'm in a conversation with somebody, I'm fine, and it's great. But Brian was lovely. Brian was a real sort of, he's got quite a twinkle to him, he's got character, and he was lovely, really lovely.
Yeah, and of course you were there with Gwyneth Paltrow as well. And I know because you contributed to our tribute episodes for Gwyneth, and I know that you've got an awful lot of affection for Gwyneth as well. I'm going to ask you this question, and I think I know what your answer is going to be. Do you have any particular favourite storylines?
Let me think.
With Christine?
Oh, not really.
No.
No. Well, there's one, isn't there?
Yeah,
and that's all I need is the one.
Yeah. Do you want to talk us through it?
Yeah, well, I've got the best haircut going, as you can see. It's still looking gorgeous now. But yeah, good old Pressure. She's a little bit of a tinker, isn't she? She can tell a pork pie when she wants to. And she done a good one on me. Yeah, so basically she's told me that she was working in a hairdresser's, learning to cut hair, which I believed, and I needed a haircut. So hey ho, can you sort me out, please? Yeah, no problem. And she did. She gave me a lovely haircut that, nice coloured and all over the place. And yeah, it was great. It was great fun to film. It was a real laugh. The hardest thing, not laughing at the end, when they're all giggling their heads off. And like I said in that little clip before, even Gwyneth was smirking, and all. I thought, oh my God, where am I going to look? It's one of those. So it was brilliant.
The thing about that series 7, was that Christine had come to school with a new hairstyle. It wasn't like talked about, but it was a proper 80s perm. It was. It was a cracker.
And then they had to try and maintain it for the next year.
I watched that episode the other day, and it's quite obvious Precious is trying to avoid Christine in that episode. But then when it comes to it, this might sound like a really stupid question. Was it your real hair that she was cutting?
No.
Right, okay.
Thank God. No, there were some little pieces put in. I had all chunks of pieces put in so that she could just go with.
Yeah.
So no.
Right,
is the answer to that one.
No, I just thought I would check that. Being, as you can see from me, I don't really have a problem with too many haircuts. Yeah, I just thought I'd check on that.
Yeah.
And then obviously we saw Christine at different points throughout the series, like the sponsored walk, and when there was a nude model in the art club. Was that hard to do without laughing?
It was hilarious. Yeah, it was like you knew what was coming. You knew, but it was like, right, come on, we can do this. Let's keep this all in. And then there he was, this little old man, bless him, and it was just like, yes.
I'm guessing.
And we let rip then. That was it.
Yeah, I'm guessing you couldn't see anything.
No. Oh my gosh, no. No. That would have scarred us for life, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, come on.
So
sorry.
So when you were playing Christine, you've just said there that after filming you would go off on your own and go and where you lived and that. Did you ever get spotted out and about?
Not so much up in London, to be honest, because we'd obviously sort of finished most of it by the time people had seen what you were doing, and I was back home in Sweden. Right. But yeah, I did get very popular at home. It was like, you're right, Lace. Yeah, okay. No, don't know. I haven't got a clue who you are.
Was it a good reaction that you had?
Oh yeah, yeah. Right. Everybody just wants to be your friend, don't they?
Yeah.
Which is lovely. Don't get me wrong, but you know who your friends are.
Right. Yeah. So how do you kind of deal with that then?
Well, mine wasn't that, I wasn't a star or anything, not compared to all the others, like Pogo and all that lot. They all, like Lee and everybody in the younger ones and all. I think it was more because I was at home. It was more like, do you know what I mean? It's just, and it was, not high fives, but it was all right sort of thing. And on you go. There was nothing to that extreme of any of those lot at all. So, it was what it was.
Yeah, I know. you've just said there, obviously, you just said that you didn't feel like, you weren't like a star, the likes of Paula and Sue Tully and people like that.
Yeah.
Were you sort of made aware beforehand that you wouldn't have huge storylines, or you were just going to be sort of, I don't want to say on the periphery, like,
no. Yeah, I was
right.
always there.
Yeah.
I was always part, because I was in the class, so you're always there. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because like you were with Claire and Suzanne and Precious and all that, and I was in their group. I was always sort of there, which is great. Do you know what I mean? It's nice being in a scene where you don't particularly have to talk, but just sort of, you're there.
Yeah.
But I can't remember. All I can remember is getting the scripts and having a read through and oh yeah. And so no, I don't think I was particularly made aware of anything as such. You just had so many scripts, and off you went and had a little read, and you thought, oh, this is going to be fun.
Yeah, and then you had quite a part to play in one of Grange Hill's most famous series finales as well, when Sue was played. Obviously, it's the school disco, and you were quite instrumental in getting Grange Hill's sort of first power couple back together.
Well, you've got to do your bit, haven't you? I mean, come on, it's the end of the series. You've got to end on a nice little get together there for him, haven't you? It was hard work, but we got there.
When Gary Hales was on, who played Nigel, he was saying he loves that ending because it was the first time where they'd done sort of a you have been watching type thing as well, and it is quite a special ending because of how different it is, and it's really memorable, I think, for that reason. And obviously you were dancing with Paul Mackenzie.
That's right, yeah.
Played Errol. Now, I didn't know this until I spoke to him, but it was supposed to be Mark Baxter.
I know. How dare he, bless him, be so ill.
But I won't ask you who you would have preferred to dance with. I won't do that to you.
They're both lovely. They're both lovely guys. I'm in touch with Paul. It's all right.
So then that was the end of series 7. And after that, we didn't see Christine again in Grange Hill.
No.
Whose decision was it for you to leave? Because I know a few of them stayed on.
Yeah, no, it was their decision.
Right.
I was not needed anymore, basically. Right. So, which was a shame, but I think that was fine. That was enough. That was quite. I enjoyed it, and that was it, sort of thing.
So, I mean, did you feel okay about it at the time, or?
Yeah, I was just grateful because I thought I was going in for one episode, so to do another 2 years was a bonus, you know. So, more than happy.
Brilliant.
No, that wasn't a problem.
Brilliant. So what did you do after Grange Hill then?
I done a bit of rep. Went to Manchester and done the Prime and Miss Jean Brodie.
Right.
And actually, my roommate was Kim Benson.
All right. Yeah.
We didn't realise we shared this room forever. Well, not forever, for about a month and a half, and never really realised that we were both in Grange Hill, but at different times.
Wow.
Which was really strange.
Yeah.
Again, she's lovely, type thing. But so I done that, and then I was then 18, turning 18. I still look quite young, and I was quite a tiny person. So they'd have to pay me adult fee.
Right.
But I would still be cast as a child. So the money side of things came into play, and basically work dried up because they didn't want to pay us adult fee, which was a shame.
Yeah.
You know, but life goes on, and I'm quite happy.
Yeah. So did you sort of make a conscious decision then that you were going to move away from acting?
Yeah, I think so, because like I say, because of that, with the acting side of things, I would love to have done more like musical stuff. But again, situations didn't allow me to, sort of thing. So but you know, I had a lovely childhood. I had great fun when I was growing up. Yeah, nobody can take that away from me.
No,
you know?
definitely not.
I ticked the boxes, and I've moved on. But that's not to say never. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
So knocked on the door.
So what did you decide to do then?
Oh, I've had a really exciting life. I've worked in a shop, in a supermarket. I've cleaned for the Ministry of Defence. Really exciting things. And now for the last 20 years, I've been a one-to-one TA in a primary school.
Right, brilliant.
And I love it. Children with slightly special needs and all, and it's lovely. I love the challenge.
In the one school, or are you like a?
Yeah, in the same school, just
right.
Gone all the way through with one character, and then started at the beginning again and gone through with another character.
Oh no.
So yeah, quite happy.
That's great. Yeah, that must be, as someone who works in a primary school myself, and seeing the work that one-to-one TAs do. I mean, it must be incredibly rewarding for you.
Oh, it's brilliant. I love it. And I must admit, I shouldn't really say this, but the more challenging the child is, the more I love them.
Yeah.
You know, I can't use the naughty word, but the more challenging.
I mean,
they're brilliant.
I can fully understand
have to think it's not their fault. It's not their fault, and that's what you have to keep thinking. And that's what we do.
I see the work that one-to-one TAs do, and it is really, really rewarding and so valuable as well.
Oh yeah, and it's lovely when you see them walking down the road years later and go, "Hiya, miss." Yeah, I've done something good.
Hey, just going back to Grange Hill, and you've mentioned this a couple already. Is there anyone that you're who you're still in touch with now?
Well, that's the best thing about Facebook, because again, being away from everybody, it's really, and we've had a couple of reunions, and it's been absolutely fab for me, because it's really brought me back into the fold. So anybody and everybody that goes to these reunions have been fab. You know, there's, like I say, Mark Burdis, you got Paula, Joanne, and all that, and it's just lovely. It's just so nice to be back on that level with everybody, and having the laugh and the giggles that you should have as friends, you know. And
definitely.
Yeah, it's been fab.
Brilliant. So that's great, because obviously, like, I've had school reunions and stuff, and I love the fact that a lot of the cast of Grange Hill are still in touch with, because I'm not necessarily in touch with people I went to school with. Do you know what I mean? And I love the fact, like, when I spoke to George Christopher, who played Ziggy, he stayed in touch straight away from leaving Grange Hill with, like, people that, lived in London, and I couldn't keep in touch with people who lived 2 minutes away from me. No. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely. I mean, technology back then was a piece of paper and a pen, you know?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, no, I do love the fact that the cast are all, still in touch with each other and stuff. I do love all that. Okay, Alicia, we are sort of coming towards the end of the interview, and my final questions are always Grange Hill related. So the first one is, there's been talk recently of a Grange Hill movie. If you were asked, because you did say never earlier on, if you were asked, would we see a return of Christine Everson?
Absolutely. How can I say no? How can you not be part of it if you're asked? I won't be asked, but I'm more than willing to go back if they want me. Yeah, definitely.
And would you be sporting a different hairstyle this time then?
Well, it's still a mess, but yeah, I've still got some, so that's the main thing. Yeah.
Oh, brilliant. I mean, what are your thoughts on the subject of a Grange Hill movie?
Well, I've got to say it would be fab, wouldn't I? Really, but personally, I don't know. I really don't know.
Yeah, I know.
I'll be careful what I say, but I'm not sure if it's really if it would work.
Right, I get you. No, I mean that's fair enough. Like, yeah.
I mean, I'd love it to work. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
I really would love it to work, and I hope if it happens, it does work.
Brilliant. Okay, so you've said you were a fan of the show. So, other than Christine Everson, who was your favourite character on Grange Hill?
Oh, that's a hard one, isn't it? Do I go for a boy or a girl? I like Mark Burdis. I like Stu Pop.
Right.
Brilliant. Yeah, he was just a normal lad that you went to school with. You know, he'd keep an eye on you, but he was dappy. He was great. Yeah. Okay,
and if you couldn't have played Christine, which other character would you have liked to have played?
Probably Suzanne, because she had a bit of she did have that about her, didn't she?
Yeah.
I started off, and then I don't know what happened, it dwindled, but she kept it going, didn't she?
Yeah. And Do you think you could have carried off the Boy George look as well?
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah. I'm more of a boy than I've ever been a girl. I've always been a tomboy.
Excellent. Okay, so then the final question: why do you think there is still such affection for Grange Hill?
I just think it's a one-off. Do you know what I mean? Everybody of our era grew up with it. You didn't really know anything else.
Yeah.
It was what it was. Everybody was talking about it, whether it was good, bad, or indifferent. It was always being spoken about.
Yeah.
And I think our age group, you had nothing else to focus on apart from what you had on when you came home from school, and so that was it. You know, nowadays it's completely different setup, isn't it? There's stuff here, there, and everywhere, and you know, all sorts of things to keep you occupied and drifting off to. But back then, that was our life. So, you know, how could you not know about it or talk about it or want to be part of it, sort of thing? So
great. No, that's great. Well, you know, Lisa, thank you so much for coming on.
Well, okay, thank you.
I know you were a little bit nervous about doing it.
I was very nervous,
but
yeah.
That hasn't come across at all. Like it's been fantastic talking to you.
Pleasure.
So thank you so much. And for anyone who's listening, I'll speak to you next time. Cheers. Thank you. Bye bye.